Hello everyone, my name is Leslie and today I'll be showing you how I make this 3D velvet wire ornament. For the wire, I'll be using 3mm aluminum wire. Feel free to use a stronger wire though if you'd like. Here's the velvet I-cord I'll be using and it's about 34 inches long. I actually ended up using a little bit less than that, but you always want to make sure you have more than enough to work with. And to make the I-cord, I used this yarn and this I-cord knitter machine. I'm going to be using my combination pliers. You can use needle nose pliers as well. And I'm going to be using this outline here. This is actually a template from my Christmas template bundle. I'll be bending the wire first, and this is essentially what we're going for. It's kind of like a curved zigzag or accordion pattern. If you want to slide the I-cord into the wire first and bend it after, you can do that too, but I'm going to bend the wire first. I'm going to start by pulling a little bit of the wire out first and bending a small loop at the end. I'm going to position the tip of the wire right inside the pliers like this. Push the wire in firmly and bend a small V shape. When I use these pliers, I like to move them up a tiny bit away from the bend and then push in to make that bend a little tighter. Then just close it like this. You want it to be small but big enough for your needle to fit through. Now I'm just going to straighten this out a tiny bit to get rid of any kinks or wavy parts in the wire, and I'm just pressing into the wire to do that. Okay, now I'm going to align this with my template and make the first half of this outline. I'm going to slightly bend the wire first and then align it with the template. Hold that in place with my left hand and pull the wire with my right hand. Open and close the curve to adjust it. I'm just going to keep holding what I've bent in place with my left hand and continue to manipulate the wire with my right hand as I go along. Okay, so there's our first section. We're going to make a total of 6 of these little sections or curves. I'm going to straighten this out a bit. I'm going to make a tight bend right here. I like to pinch the spot where I need to bend first, and then I'm going to place my pliers right here and bend towards me. Should look like this. I'm going to bring it in together a bit more by placing my pliers a tiny bit away from the bend and pushing that in. I'm not really worried about the space between each section right now because I'll be adjusting it at the end anyways. Alright, so now I'm going to flip the template around and use the other half of the outline here. I'm going to start with this pointy part right here. And to make this curve, I'm going to place my pliers up here and give it a slight twist to the left against my left index finger to make that initial curve. Hold that in place and pull the wire with your other hand to make the rest of the shape. I'm just going to fix this curve up here. Now I'm going to make my next tight bend in the middle down here. I'm going to flip this around, pinch where I want to bend, place my pliers there and push out to make another small V shape. Straighten this out a bit, and I'm going to use this side of the outline again. I'm going to slightly curve it at the top here, align it with the template and form that curve. Now I'm at the bottom here and I'm going to pinch the spot where I want to bend again, place my pliers there and bend the wire this way. I'm going to unroll some of the wire, flip this around, and I'm going to start forming the pointy part first again. I'm going to slightly curve this with my fingers first and then align it with the template. Finish the rest of the curve. And make my next bend right here. I'm going to flip this around again. I have 4 sections so far, just need to make 2 more. I'm going to repeat the same pattern and I'll be back on when I complete that. All right, so I have 6 of these curved sections now, and I want my wire to end right here, but I'm going to cut half an inch away because I still have to bend my small loop. I'm going to bend my small loop at the tip. So this is what it looks like right now. You have 3 bent corners down here and 2 at the top. Before I bend this into shape, I'm going to slide the velvet I-cord through. Just going to take this little thread out to open the end of the I-cord. Insert the wire and pass the I-cord through using a scrunch and pull motion all throughout. When you get to the tight corners, you kind of want to grab the end of the I-cord and pull it over the bend. Make sure you distribute the I-cord evenly so there are no bunched up areas, but don't overly stretch it. I'm just going to continue to do that. Okay, now that I've gotten to the end, I'm doing a twist and pull motion to pull the I-cord over the bent loop. And here I'm just making sure that there are no bunched up areas by scooting the I-cord out, and I'm also untwisting the I-cord as I go along. Okay, so I have some extra I-cord here, and we'll worry about that in a second. I just want to secure this end over here first. I'm going to thread the yarn through my needle and bring the needle behind the bent loop and pass it through the center 2 to 3 times. And I'm going to do the same for this side here. Undo all this extra I-cord first by pulling on the yarn. Before you pull the yarn, make sure the yarn isn't inside any of the stitches or else it will get stuck. I'm going to cut this a bit, thread it through my needle, insert the yarn through all 4 stitches to close the end of the I-cord. I'm just untwisting this here a bit. And I'm going to secure this the same way I did on this side. Alright, now I'm going to bring these ends closer by pushing them in together gently. Flip it around. Use both hands and place your index fingers near the pointy part up here. And use both hands to open it up slightly. I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. You want about a 2-inch gap in the center. Make sure all sides are equal. Look at your ornament from all angles and adjust as needed. I'm going to bring these pointy parts a little bit closer by pushing them in one by one. Okay, here's what that looks like. Now I want to tie these 2 strands together, and to do that, I'm only going to grab one of the strands of yarn, thread it through my needle, and pass it through the top here. And I'm just inserting my needle inside the I-cord all the way around little by little until I end up next to the other strand. And this way, everything gets kind of pulled in together. I'm going to tie these 2 now and double knot it. Hide both strands inside the I-cord. Cut the excess off, and here's what that looks like. Now I'm going to take a separate piece of yarn about 15 inches long and just pass it through the inside of the I-cord. Leave some yarn hanging like this and go through all three corners until you end up where you started. Tie those strands together twice and hide them inside the I-cord. Cut the excess yarn off. Now for the last step, I'm going to take another piece of yarn, about 15 inches as well. You can make this as long or as short as you'd like. Fold it in half, tie a knot towards the end to make a loop. Trim the ends, and now we are going to take the side that doesn't have the knot, thread it through the needle and insert it through one of the bent corners here. Leave a little bit of that at the top. And I want it to come back out through the other bent corner here. And you want both strands to be pretty close to each other in the center of the ornament. Now I'm going to pass this end of the yarn through this little loop here. Pull, and then insert a wooden bead. And I want the knot to go inside the bead here. Now I'm going to make a knot at the top. And you want it to be very close to the bead. And you want to make a second knot around the first knot to prevent the bead from sliding out. This part is a little tricky, especially if the loop you made is on the shorter side. And this is actually the perfect example because the bead is still able to slide out here. So when that happens, instead of struggling to make a third knot, I like to add a tiny blob of glue on the bottom knot. This is the glue I'm using, and you can use hot glue as well. Just add a tiny bit. And then slide the bead down. And I'm using my needle to push that knot inside the bead. Once the glue dries, it should be pretty secure. And there you have it, a 3D velvet ornament. The finished piece is a bit larger than your typical ornament. If you want something a bit smaller than this, you could still use the same template, just follow the inside of the outline. If you like this video, make sure to check out my Velvet I-cord tutorial on my Etsy shop, or you can check out my knitted wire expert course if you want to master wire bending.